The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus went to the region of Caesarea Philippi, and he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others Elijah, still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter said in reply, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus said to him in reply, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my heavenly Father. And so I say to you, you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." Then he strictly ordered his disciples to tell no one that he was the Christ. The Gospel of the Lord. There's a family from this parish whose mom from this parish is the mom of a priest friend of mine from this parish. And the family was telling me last week that they were moving her from a senior center to the Sunrise Nursing Home on Merrick Avenue up by Kellenberg High School. And as they were telling me that story, it reminded me of this man who I know who goes to that same facility every day. He's been going there for years to visit his wife, who has dementia, Alzheimer's, and who seems every time he's there every day, suffers more and more into the fog of dementia. And so every day, this husband goes to help her, feeds her lunch, shows her pictures of the children and the grandchildren, tells her the latest news about the family, which she seems to forget as soon as he tells her. He patiently reminds her that they've been married for 52 years, that they have 2 sons and 2 daughters, they have a bunch of grandchildren, and he holds her hand as she drifts in and out of consciousness, and before he leaves, he kisses her and tells her how much he loves her. And often, sometimes when the kids are there, his heartbroken children and his friends ask him a question. And it's sort of an important question that we hear in the gospel today. Why do you keep going here? Why do you keep coming back to visit your wife, even though she doesn't even recognize who you are? And his reply to them, to his family, to his friends, is always the same. His reply is, "Because I know who I am. I know who I am." So this husband's faithfulness is the perfect and sort of complete answer to the question that Jesus poses to Peter and to the others with him and to us in today's gospel. Who am I to you? Or who do you say that I am at this particular moment? And we have to answer that in relationship to ourselves. Who am I? So people who know us can usually detect our preferences in life. So if we say that we're a Mets fan or a Yankees fan, but never watch a game, never wear the team insignia, or know who plays first base or any of the positions, people begin to wonder. And when I mentioned this at the first Mass today, a woman of the parish, Mary O'Brien, who's very involved here in our altar program here, she said, "I don't have any Mets insignia on me," but she brought out a card signed by Tug McGraw many years ago, a big Met person years ago. So that sort of shows where she's committed to. If we say that we love to read books, but all we talk about at social gatherings are the evening TV shows or Fox or CNN commentaries or soap operas, then we begin to wonder whether the person really, is interested in books. If we say that we're very concerned about the environment, but never recycle or drive a big gas guzzler or keep the lights on at home when unnecessary, people begin to wonder. If we say that we are Christians, yet there's very little to signify that Jesus has made an ongoing difference in our lives, people can wonder. And if we insist that our children go to church, but at home they hear us use racial slurs or utter stereotypical comments about the poor or immigrants or gossip about neighbors, the children will begin to wonder, are my parents or my grandparents or my aunts and uncles really Christians, or do they just go to church? So who do you say that I am? Jesus asked us today. Very bright words, I am. Who do you say that I am, on the front cover of the bulletin? What response to the question does our lives reveal to myself, to ourselves, to others, and observers around us? So Jesus' question isn't just asked of us as individuals, it's also posed to the church as well, and to family life in general. If our Christian community, if our parish fits comfortably into society around us, that it's not much different than anybody else, if we never speak up to represent those who have little power or no voice, if we welcome only those who look and act like ourselves, if we're more fussy about ritual and decorum and less concerned about newcomers and how we welcome and incorporate them into the community, then when Jesus asked church, who do you say that I am? In reality, our answer could well be, well, you're an admirable teacher, you're a good leader, you're a good role model, and that's it. Maybe not much more. Who do you say that I am is our question that the church reminds us to think about today. Like the man who visits his wife with dementia, our question is, why do we keep coming to church? When sometimes we can forget, sometimes people can forget, and his sincere answer ought to be ours, because I know who I am. So that's why we keep coming back to church, to family life, because we know who we are and who we're supposed to be, who we're called to be in a new way each day. So Jesus said in this gospel today that he would build his church on rock. Sometimes it feels like the church is less on rock and more on sand. And the same analogy of sand can sometimes apply also to our families, to our family life. We have all sorts of divisions that distract our energies and create atmospheres of mistrust or suspicion. It doesn't always feel like the church or even the family might be on solid rock. But a quick survey of human nature and history reminds us, though, that we aren't going through anything that those before us didn't also go through at one time or another. Because from the very beginning, we've had both saints and sinners among popes and bishops and priests and religious and laity. People come to church all the time. People, who are, in the family. And sometimes it can get discouraging. And it's at those low moments that we need to feel our dreams, we can feel that our dreams and ideals are under siege. We might need to repeat the mantra that Jesus promised: the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against the church or against us. And then, at the same time, we can look at the many positive things that are happening in our church, like the 1 million+ young people who gathered 3 weeks ago in Portugal with Pope Francis at World Youth Day. We can give praise today that despite our less than stellar performance as the people of God or as family members, Jesus hasn't abandoned us like the man who hasn't abandoned his wife with dementia. Every August 27th, we celebrate the feast of Saint Monica, who never gave up prayer, who never gave up hope that her husband and her son, Saint Augustine, would convert. Her beautiful story, her witness reminds us that even with shaky faith, this very shaky faith that Augustine had, even with our failings, both in the past and the present, that Jesus is very much with us, that he promised that he would be with us always. All we have to do is keep responding to the question, who do you say that I am today? So why do we keep coming back week after week, despite the problems, the imperfections, the metaphorical dementia of the church, of our lives? Well, because we know who we are. We know who we are as the people of God, as his church. And that, the answer to that question, which is asked to us in a new way every time we come to church, is that makes all the difference in the world.